my 1986 Monte Carlo SS, I demonstrated the Tracy Lewis Monster Catch Can and what I was getting on the dirty side. I also showed the clean side cap, which is what this is on the passenger side. So essentially there's just an orifice with an AN fitting that I have a hose going to the intake tube that's taking in clean air on the passenger side valve cover. As I demonstrated on the dirty side, I check the can at every oil change interval. For the clean side, you're not supposed to have to check this or clean it as frequently because it's actually taking in clean air into the valve cover versus the dirty side, which is a suction on the valve cover, obviously sucking in oil vapor, so it's important to have baffling. But what I found was it's equally important to have baffling over this, because what I found was this is just a fitting with some O-rings that goes over it's essentially a standard oil cap that doesn't have the top to it, and then this top just has O-rings that slide in here. But look at the positioning on the valve cover. It's right over a rocker arm that's squirting oil right up at this. So what I found was there was a pool of oil actually on this media. All it is just stainless steel scrub pad. But essentially, I'm having to clean this out at exceedingly higher intervals than I expected because of the positioning where it's at and because the lack of baffling. So with this in mind, I started thinking about how I could baffle this area but still make it functional, because if you think about it, you remove this clean air side to service the engine when you're adding oil, so you want to have this open so that you can add oil. So the solution that I found, or I'm going to try and I'll post the results, is basically just an oil extension. And this is actually for an LS1 or LS2 cap, I believe. And what I found was, in order to position this correctly, I had to basically open up some channels in the reverse direction. And I'll just point that out in just a moment here. So here's the tab that's in the orifice for the oil cap. And now, of course, the clean side that I put on here. So in order to put this neck on, if you notice, this is the original channel, and basically they just have this graduatedly ramp up so it'll suck it in because this O-ring is what seals it in place. Essentially what I did was just reverse and grind off this, and essentially you don't really need to even graduate this. You can just have it the same, but you just need to push it all the way down like so, and then twist in the upward position. Sorry, I had to put my hands on my work here to show this, but this is the position I wanted it in, so I just had to basically put a channel in the opposite position. The other thing to note is this has a locking tab, which really sucked, because after I figured out and put it on, which was facing downward, which is the way I didn't want it, it has a locking tab and it's inside. So there's no way you're going to actually get this off. There's actually some Houdini that an LS1 tech, I think, that posted, they got some sort of thin wire on the inside tab, which I have no idea how that guy would have been able to do that, because you need a pretty strong wire. It's got to be pretty small, and then you got to blindly fish it on that tab. I would probably have a better chance of curing cancer than doing that. So in any event, in order to get this back off, just to look at the problem, I had to take the valve cover off and then just pry that tab outward and then twist it off. But so again, all I did was just open up the channel in the reverse direction, and it fits now upward. So I'm not going to put it on again because I need two hands of struggling on, but just trust me, it locks, strong enough in place where it's not going to go anywhere. Certainly I can still take it off and twist it off, but it'll seal the O-ring and do what I want it to do. Next, I'll put the clean side cap on this extension, and I'll post the results. With everything buttoned up and on the car, I just wanted to do a quick recap. So Again, this is the Tracy Lewis oil catch can system. This side that you're looking at is the clean air side. So this is drawing clean metered air. This hose actually runs in front of and underneath the supercharger. And then I've got a barbed fitting that's going just after the MAF. So this is drawing clean metered air into this side or this passenger valve cover. The problem of which, again, there's no baffling underneath this oil fill tube. So the rocker was just, you know, splashing a ton of oil up at the top and pooling up in this area. And since this is drawing clean air in, it shouldn't pool up or accumulate a lot of oil, but it was just because of the proximity, I put an extension on there. This is just for the part number, it's a Dorman fill tube, oil fill tube, part number 917413. And this is the tool that I use, so just a cutoff tool, just to carry that channel around the opposite side so that I could change the position from a downward position, which wouldn't have worked, to the upright position you see right now. And then I just cut away some of the heavy material that I zipped away, and then filed or refined some of the areas on there. So wasn't rocket science. It doesn't look pretty, but it's very functional. It's very tight on here. It's not going anywhere. And we'll let it run for a few weeks, and we'll check the results, and I'll post back. Thank you. So after a few days of driving, I'm happy to report that this fix has worked perfectly. I mean, even after 1 day of driving, this would be soaked up in here, and it's completely dry. I can stick my finger in there, and there's no oil on there. There's not even any oil up in the top of the tube. As I mentioned, this is just essentially a cap, an oil cover cap with the top open, so that this just presses in with O-rings to seal. So it's very easy to remove, and then if you want to fill the oil, you just unscrew this and insert your oil. So that's another added bonus too. This is extending it out a little bit, as it was wasn't impossible, but it was sometimes a challenge to get oil in there, so it's a little added bonus. But happy to report that this has definitely solved the problem, and I'm no longer getting a pool of oil up in this area. So hope you like my video.